So, all right. So, what were you spending your money on?
At that time.
You said you had a 3-year run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we did try and keep it quite tight. I said to the Colombians and the Chilean, because obviously a few other people got involved as well. I did warn them. I said, don't go out and start buying flashy cars and just going crazy with the money, which some of them did.
Yeah.
Because that always draws heat.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was living in an annex at my dad's house in a 1-bedroom flat. I kept it really low key.
Yeah.
Tried to anyway. Ended up having quite a nice car. Ish.
What car?
Range Rover. But that was actually a ringed Range Rover anyway. So I didn't really buy that. But yeah, I was spending money, I suppose, on hotels quite a bit at that time, restaurants, spending on the family, girlfriend, her kid, living in quite nice houses. Oh, no, not at that point. That was the first time. But invested some of it.
So there's a thing called civil asset forfeiture laws. Did they take everything?
What, on the Ecuadorian one?
Yeah.
No, because I was never actually charged in Britain.
Ah, okay.
Which was something that all the way through, well, if we wind it forward a bit, I suppose, so, or come back to that maybe.
Yeah, come back to it.
Yeah.
How did the bus go down for the Ecuadorian one then?
So basically, we knew that we were under surveillance because there'd been a couple of busts in Britain, one up in Crystal Palace, and then, where was the other one? There was another lab anyway, up in London, got taken out.
Yeah.
And, they started to get quite close to us. And I did, we made a lab up in Edinburgh, up in Scotland.
You made a lab?
Well, we put a little lab together in an apartment.
Like Walter White style?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, with a 15-ton floor standing press and, various bits of equipment. Which was actually another funny story. The flat that we did it in, the flat below that was owned by Irving Welsh, and is the flat that he wrote Trainspotting in.
Wow.
I swear to God.
Wow.
We used to get circular mail from Mr. I. Welsh coming through the flat door sometimes.
That's brilliant.
I remember the elderly couple across the landing from us talking to them on one occasion, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, that nice Mr. Irving Welsh used to hear him tapping away on the typewriter of a night." And
I read most of his books in prison. Big fan.
Yeah. He was a council worker at that time, wasn't he? Tax office or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Writing it this part time. And then, lo and behold, years later, there's a massive cocaine laboratory busted in the flat.
Were you at the location when
I had been. We'd spotted the police surveillance on the apartment. I'd actually gone out of the apartment and followed an undercover unit, which we'd noticed.
What had you seen to spot them? What were they doing?
I wasn't actually there at the time they were spotted, but one of the guys that was working in the flat, in the lab, a Colombian, phoned me up and said, "Look, we think we're being watched. There's a car down the back with a man and a woman who keep looking up at the back window." Yeah. And I was like, right, that sounds like the police. Let me get back and have a look. So I've got into the flat, come up, looked out the back window. I was like, yeah, that's definitely the police.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm looking, they've clocked me looking at them. Mm-hmm. They've moved their car across the road into a car park, which I've seen them do, trying to be discreet. So I've gone back downstairs, jumped in the van I had on hire, gone to that car park, blocked them in.
Yeah.
And made it very apparent that I know they're there. Let them come out. I've backed the van up and let them come out and then followed them through Edinburgh for about 10, 15 minutes, and then got bored of it and let them, they went off one way, I went the other, and went back to the flat, and I said, look, that was definitely the police. I think we should bail, get out of here. And the Colombians were like, oh, well, we're not sure. It might not have been. I was like, I'm telling you now, that was the police. The door's going to come through. But they wouldn't go. So I said, look, we've got to get out of here. And I said, look, if you want to stay, you stay, but I'm gone. So I went off and stayed the night in Balmoral Hotel up in Edinburgh. And I'm pretty sure that night I remember hearing noise outside my hotel room door. I think that was the police. Don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was. Next morning, all the phones are off. Not getting any response to them. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. So I decided to risk it, and I go get a taxi back down to the flat. And I'd left the van parked in front of the flat, so to give the appearance that I was in it. So when they raided it, the police thought I was in there because the van was there, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I've got back down there. It all seems very quiet. There's no evidence of anything having happened. Go up the stairs, get to the top, and the front door's just been smashed straight through. It's all boarded up. Big old. It was a big sort of merchant's apartment, so the door was a big oak solid door. And apparently it took them about 25 minutes to get through it. So in that time, the Colombians have managed to get rid of most of what was there. They've been arrested and remanded. It was all over the front pages of all the newspapers in Scotland, and it was right across the BBC. 1, 2, 3, 4, all of it.
What year was
ITV. That was 2000. Well, I got busted in 2005. It was the same year.
Yeah.
It was about 3 months before I got busted. 3-4 months, something like that. So because of that burst and it being that close to me, and me knowing there's going to be DNA in that flat that connects me to it, I basically disappeared off the face of the earth. Dropped all my electronic communication, emptied my banks, got rid of all the bank cards, everything. And got the Turkish mafia to smuggle me out of Britain in the boot of a Mercedes car.
Is that another phone call to the Turkish mafia?
Yeah. So phoned them up, friend Oscar. That's not his real name, so it doesn't matter. Okay. And said, look, Oscar, I need to get out of Britain. Normally at that time, there's all these people getting smuggled into Britain. Well, there still are.
Yeah.
And there's me getting smuggled out. So he got me in the boot of this Mercedes. Obviously not all the way to Dover. Drove to Dover, then got in the boot and went across on the hovercraft thingy. Is it the hovercraft? The fast one. I can't remember. Something like that anyway.
Something like that, yeah.
So got to France, put myself out of the way because we had a property in mid-France, sort of hid out there.
Was that in your name?
No.
Okay.
The Turks gave me a car, another ringer, to drive around in France on British plates, which is quite cool. So yeah, just hid out in France for a few months, and then decided to do that one last trip.
Oh, not the last trip! I'm going to do one last trip and retire and live happily ever after.
Yeah, live happily ever after on a Thai beach was the plan. So I was Unfortunately, the informant was involved in this. It was just a bad idea from start to finish. The last one.
Was the informant then the guy who said that he didn't believe you about the police surveying you? Did he want to stay on purpose?
No. That was that. Okay. No, they were still in prison.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, the informant had been busted in the Crystal Palace lab.
Yeah.
Who was, like I said, one of the partners, me, the Colombian, and the Chilean. So it was the Colombian.
Yeah.
He got released after like 6 months. We, at the time we were a bit like, well, how the hell, how's he got out of this? But it did, what he told us and what we learned through the case papers, it did seem to fit.
What did he tell you?
I can't actually remember now. I think, because there was about 5 or 6 of them taken out in the lab.
Yeah.
And I think he had said that the others had taken the fall. He hadn't been caught with any of the actual drugs, so he was released. But in that time, the police had turned him. Yeah. And obviously, he became their star informant. And not only did he take us out, he ended up taking about 400 other people out.
Holy shit.
In the summing up at Bristol Crown Court, when they had the trial of the people that were arrested in Britain, the judge actually named him because I'd already, I'd already pretty well done that. So the judge named him in open court and said, look, Mr. Blah-de-blah has helped the police put away, this person, that person, has had X amount of drugs taken off the street. Oh, what a good guy. And he was given, I think, a 5-year, I think it was 4-year sentence. We obviously let out the back door.
400 people, that must have put him on the radar of some scary people.
Yeah. Quite a few people ended up dead in the case.
It's the insanity of the war on drugs, something that we're campaigning to end.
Yeah, the war on drugs is just a complete
All
fallacy.
the stuff, it comes about because of drug laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Keep going. Then this is gripping.
Where am I? France, Ecuador. Oh yeah. So decided to do this one last trip out to Ecuador, and I just knew I wasn't coming back. Yeah, I actually had a dream. I have dreams sometimes that come true. I know it sounds weird to everyone, but I do. And I had this dream about being in prison in South America, and the girl that I was with at the time who was also arrested with me in South America. I said to her, "Look, I think I'm going to get arrested out there." I described the prison, the colour of the walls, the layout of the prison, everything.